Hello, Voiders! It's a bedazzling afternoon, and our TIFF special will go on today. So let's fire it up, or something like that. Give me something cool to say, Spink.
So, now you put me on the spot. So let's get this party started.
Yeah.
During a pandemic?
Hello and welcome to the Movie Void, where we review whatever the fuck we feel like reviewing. It is the second half of our TIFF special. Today we are going to be seeing WILDFIRE, and not at the Bell Lightbox, no, but at, where is this even? At the Ontario place. A place I haven't been in like maybe 22 years? No more. No, like way more. Fuck, I'm old. It's going to be an open air screening. They said something about an 80-foot screen in this little park. So it'll be exciting. Let's go check it out. Grabbing some food before we go to the show. This is so funny. I've shown this to you guys on Sundays, but it's like more funny if you see it now, because we have all these ashtrays on our balcony. There's our place. And see, there's all these cans of tomato sauce we're using as ashtrays. Toronto life. Okay, it's finally time to go to the screening. I'm looking forward to this. This is the only open air screening we'll be having tonight, so this will be nice.
But will the movie be nice?
That's the good question. That's what we're here to find out, Voiders, isn't it so? So our Uber driver dropped us off at this parking lot at the lake with a lot of yachts to be seen. Gotta go up there and cross the bridge. Where's my red carpet? This seems all so fucking weird. There's a Triforce up there. What is this, Zelda? There's a skunk here. I've never seen a skunk.
There's a hole like right in front of one of those rocks, and he keeps going in it. But you don't want him to spray. There he is. Yeah, there he is over there. How close are you allowed to get to him? I wouldn't try it. Okay, we're back on.
And so, let's talk WILDFIRE. Isn't the Toronto skyline so pretty? Well, anyway, WILDFIRE is directed and written by Kathy Brady, and it stars Nora Jane Noon and Aist Tate. And it is the story of two sisters. One of them is missing, and they grew up at the Irish border where things are pretty rough. And she reconnects with her, one of them, and they reconnect. And pretty much they start to explore their past. They try to figure out how their mother died, their stories about suicide, their stories about a car crash. The sister who was missing is a bit more unstable than the other one, so the spouse of the other sister wants to get her to see like a shrink or what?
To see someone.
To see someone. It was never specified who she's supposed to see. And they try, the sister who was missing like tries to lead a normal life, and it's not really going well because she's too traumatized from her past, and it's actually just a very dramatic kind of thing. The performances were incredibly good in this one. Like, the performances were really well done. The performances were really well done. But I don't know, this was a kind of movie that like I somehow couldn't feel. I couldn't really connect with the characters properly. And it wasn't because of like the acting or the script. It was just that this whole entire scenario with this broken border and this fractured family and everything, it was just like this drama tone that I couldn't like really identify with at all. But that is just me. Like, I'm like this completely international person, so I don't even know if you can call this a review, because I'm kind of like lost for words here, because at times there were things I found very impressive, and there were times where I really just felt like I wasn't understanding like the whole entire deal of the whole entire situation. So I'm going to do something that I've never done in my life before, because this is like, if the cinematography made everything look very real and very much like how real life is portrayed. Cinematography felt like a slice of life. It was like you were there practically, and that was also done really well. But I still have these issues because I can't really like identify with the plot too well on this one. So I'm going to do something that I've never done before, because I feel like I am missing like cultural knowledge on this one. I feel like I need to know more about the Irish UK relations to be able to identify more with this movie. I feel like I need to know how bad things were, because even like my historical knowledge isn't like there. I know that there's tension between those two borders, but not how bad it is. So like, I'm gonna do something I've never done before, so hear me out on this one. When I feel like I don't understand something, I have to go ahead and just say, I can't rate it. This is unrateable for me, and I might inform myself and check out more information about this movie, the background stories especially, and rewatch it, and then I'll give it a proper rating. But as of now, this was very confusing. Okay, Voiders. That was that. So our next TIFF experience is again from the comfort of our own home. Which isn't really our home, but you get what I mean. It's gonna be Violation, and I am thinking that this is going to be one of those revenge films. It's what I've heard. I've always been a huge fan of revenge films. I'm expecting something a bit more traditional horror than the last two films, last three films that we saw. So it's probably not going to be like the best movie of the year, but it's going to. I think it could be pretty damn good. Like I'm hoping for a 7 or an 8 out of 10.
Why are you being weird?
Okay, let's talk Violation. Violation was written and directed by Dusty McAnally and Madeline Sims-Fewer. Who also, by the way, Madeline Sims-Fewer plays the lead role in this movie. She plays this woman called Miriam, who is just got through a divorce and is getting back together with her sister, and they are they married, her sister and the dude?
I don't know.
They're either married or they're together, something like that. They're at this lake, and one day her sister's boyfriend or husband rapes her, and we get a traditional rape and revenge story. But this one is done a little differently. You know, I am actually a pretty big fan of rape and revenge films. I have said that many times because I think they are very empowering generally. I think the I Spit on Your Grave franchise is an amazing franchise. I'm also a big fan of revenge, that beautiful, Spanish piece that came out in, I think, 2019 on Shudder, either 18 or 19. I saw it in 2018, I think, but that's not the point here. We're talking about Violation. What you notice right away about Violation is that this movie wants to be incredibly dramatic. It already, by its opening shots of like the forest and a wolf hunting a rabbit and these long ass takes of nature, always accompanied by this really dramatic, heavy classical music. And it really takes itself very seriously. It takes a lot of time in exposition, especially like with all those nature shots and that extreme music constantly. It's like from the get-go you feel like this movie is pregnant with meaning. It's just wants to be so important at every second, and which gets irritating very fast. You kind of feel like this is taking forever. What I do gotta give it props for is the way it handled the rape situation. It wasn't like as in your face as, let's say, I Spit on Your Grave. It went for very subtle close-ups and very precise edits. It's I think where you can really actually say here that, on the plus side, that this was a movie that had that depicted rape in a very that sounds such a sick sentence of mine to say. It depicted rape in a very tasteful way. Yeah. The shit I say. You know how I mean it, though. Also, what I gotta say, what I really liked is also Madeline Sims Fewer's performance. That was a very authentic and believable performance. And you really gotta hand it to her, because I feel like she was the character. But then again, she's the writer and the director in a movie with a very limited script. So could this maybe just be her portraying herself? I don't know. We'd have to ask her. But what I found very irritating here was the dialogue. Especially during sex scenes. You really have lines like, I wanna shove my hard cock against your face, and shit like that. It's just so over the top and so bloated with wanting to be somewhat sexy, but instead just sounding really cringy. Like, the dialogue is honestly cringe times 1,000. And this whole entire movie, like I said before, from the get-go, this movie is pregnant with meaning. And after this whole entire situation, this uncomfortable situation, I won't explain to you what the revenge is, but there is a revenge. She also ends up crashing into this Croatian or Serbian old couple having this fight, and the guy slightly pushes his wife, and she gets out of the car and screams at him for pushing his wife, and it seems so too much for the story. I know you're trying to show that after this whole entire wreckage of a rape and so on, that she is feeling very empowered now and that she is taking a stand for other women, but sometimes subtlety is a bit better in these situations. It felt very out of place, incredibly out of place. Just like the dialogue. This movie has a runtime of, I think, 1 hour and 50 minutes. And you kind of feel like it's 3 hours while you're watching it. And like, don't get me wrong, there are things here that really, really work well, but there's the cringy dialogue, this overly driven with meaning. Like, you can so see that the filmmakers are trying to make this movie as meaningful as possible, and like put almost so little subtlety in their need to put meaning into this movie that it just really gets exhausting and tiring after a while. And the problem is that there were things that were so good. Like, I loved the cinematography in this, but you know that also they also love the cinematography in it. Like, the people who made the movie also love the cinematography in it, and they love it so much that they just overdo it. And especially like there's these visual allegories here constantly. Like, you know how it opens up with the wolf hunting the rabbit? Later in the film, she encounters the wolf with said rabbit in his mouth, and it is just so. We want to put meaning into your face and into your head and shove it up your ass. That's how I felt with this movie, and I really wanted to like it. That was the problem, because I'm kind of like a huge supporter on this genre, and I'm a huge supporter on movies about women who get their revenge on these sick fucks. But this just didn't do it for me. This was just, so we are trying so hard to be an important movie. So, as sad as I am to do this, I have to. Even though I don't want to, but I have to give Violation a 4 out of 10.
Abby?
Yeah.
I'm gay.
What? No.
Okay, let's talk Joe Bell. So Joe Bell was directed by Reinaldo Marcus Green and written by Laurie McMurdy and Diana Osena, who are, by the way, the same writers who wrote Brokeback Mountain. And it stars Mark Wahlberg as our lead character, and Connie Britton as his wife, and Ride Miller as his son. So this is a true story about a man whose son got bullied so much in school for being gay that it inspired his father to take a huge walk from Oregon all the way to New York to hold these huge to hold these column rallies where he talks about bullying and its effects. This at first, like, honestly, I gotta be honest, I wasn't expecting such a powerful film, and I was more thinking that this was going to be one of those really forceful, we want an Oscar kind of movies, like, really badly, but I was so wrong. This was like a really heartbreaking piece, actually. And I've seen Mark Wahlberg in many films, and I know my Mark Wahlberg.
Look, I don't know if you guys have heard about this article in the New York Times about honeybees vanishing. Well, apparently honeybees are disappearing all over the country. Hello? My name is Elliot Moore. I'm just going to talk in a very positive manner, giving off good vibes. We're just here to use the bathroom, and then we're just gonna leave. A completely superfluous bottle of cough syrup.
Every time Mark Wahlberg takes on a serious role, I kind of fear that we're going to get that science teacher that he was playing in happening again. But it hasn't happened in a long time that he has reprised that character, and he does not do that at all in Good Joe Bell. As Joe Bell, I was actually astonished how good his performance was. It just was like a brick in the head how good his performance was. Like, at times you don't even feel like you're watching Mark Wahlberg anymore. This is like, I've never seen him portray a character with such so much humanity and so much emotion and just down to earth realness as he portrays Joe Bell. And honestly, like, if this guy doesn't get an Oscar for playing Joe Bell at the Oscars 2021, then the Academy is completely retarded. Seriously, like, this was one of the best movies of the year, and like, this was maybe the best performance of the year. It just blew my mind how good it was. Generally, everybody in this movie has a really good performance. Who I really especially like, there's not a person in this movie who doesn't perform well, but who I also gotta hand it to is Ryan Miller, who plays Jaden Bell, son that gets bullied. That performance was also just, especially for such a young actor. You know how often we talk about child actors on this channel. That was so impressive. You could honestly like see his pain on his face. And anybody who wants to see a good young actor do his job, this is really the movie for you. This is like acting class generally. Like, seriously, for all young actors out there wanting to see like really, really good performances, this is it. This is your let's watch a good performance movie. And it's generally also how the pacing is done and the way the story is crafted is also went really well. I found it actually even better and more powerful than Brokeback Mountain itself. Especially like the dialogue and generally how the script is written. All these conversations seem that they're like taking out of real life. And also beautiful cinematography, because you see a lot of nature while Mark Wahlberg is doing his walk. Very convincing, everything. At the middle of the movie, when the 44-minute mark hits, the movie reveals a kind of twist that makes this movie even more sad and more human than it already is to begin with. It's kind of insane. It was almost really like, this movie was almost perfect. Like, I cried, for fuck's sake. I cried, I think, twice. But where, this movie is making the problem of this movie kind of sets in during the end, because like I was almost ready enough to give this movie a 10, but I don't want to spoil you too much of the ending. But it kind of, when the end hits, it hits so sudden, and it comes with so little of a payoff and so little of like a satisfaction for the audience, because even though this was a true story, you could have spun this, like giving the movie 3 to 5 more extra minutes in a way that was a bit more rewarding for the audience. And I don't know if they were going for the way like to leave you in this complete bleak space when you're done with this movie, because generally, like, even though it has a powerful message and it has a very good meanings behind it, it just feels like when that ending hits that they're purposely somehow either trying to disappoint you, or that they wanted to wrap up the film as soon as possible because they didn't have time, or the budget ran out or something like that. I have no idea. But that ending comes like like you're walking down the street and all of a sudden the road isn't there anymore. That's how the ending felt. It was just way too sudden, way too disappointing, way too unrewarding for the audience. And even though I was so close to giving this one a 10, I am sadly have to give it an 8 out of 10. So guys, this marks the end of our little TIFF special. I hope you had fun checking out all these movies that aren't out yet and that are going to be. I actually wanted to end this on a high note and on top of this tower, but the thing is, they closed down the tower because of COVID. So we have a list to look at. There've been a couple of Sundays in between, so I don't have really an overview of it here at the moment. Let's cut to a point in time where I do have the overview of the list. Okay, so let's look at the list. And as I mentioned before, there were a lot of I Hate Sundays episodes between the two TIFF parts. So a lot of movies got involved. But nevertheless, TIFF had quite an impact on our 2020 chart. And like before, another round, like I mentioned before, another round has secured its number one position. Close behind it is Borat 2, which we saw on Sundays a couple of weeks ago. Good Joe Bell is holding up the number 7 spot. So really keeping the top 10 going here. The year's not long anymore, so I think Joe Bell will stay in the top 10, but that could also change. In the second fourth of the great movies of the year, there's not much TIFF happening, but there is His House, which we reviewed last week on Sundays. And in our bottom fourth, there resides Violation on number 37. Not really looking too good. And actually really fitting the bottom section of the year's movies. Okay guys, this also marks the end of our era in Toronto. We will be doing the following couple of episodes in Germany and hopefully soon in LA again. You guys will see me when you see me, and stay strong, Boyders. You can do this.